Hey, first of all, basically everything coming out of Ukraine right now is fake. Fake news, fake reports. They're duplicating old explosions and stuff like that. And it's all fake news, but you should be expecting that. So what's really happening there? Is Russia really going after bioweapons labs? Well, if they were, wouldn't Russia say something about that, like voice a complaint about the bioweapons labs in Ukraine before they went in? Well, turns out they did. Check it out.
Voiced concerns about the potential development of biological weapons near Russian borders, including the spread of diseases through insects.
Понятно, что в таких центрах могут проводиться исследования не только в интересах санитарно-эпидемиологического благополучия населения соседних с нами государств, поэтому сам факт масштабной медико-биологической деятельности Пентагона именно у границ России вызывает у нас особое беспокойство. Возникает законный вопрос об истинных целях такой военно-биологической активности Соединенных Штатов Америки.
So we have Russia saying that, yeah, we have a problem with bioweapons and them actually testing them on the local population. That gives you pause to think, right? So who is you in charge in Ukraine? You know, we know that there's ties to Burisma and the Biden crime family and the Clintons and everybody else. But what do the Ukrainian government themselves say is at stake here? Well, they make it pretty clear. This is a member of parliament from Ukraine speaking on Fox News.
For the rest of us that aren't Ukrainians, I think the world, quite frankly, Kira, is surprised by the will of the Ukrainian people to stand up and fight. Are you?
Well, I'm not surprised. We have been fighting Putin for the last 8 years, and we had 3 revolutions in our country when we did not agree with what was going on with the direction of where we're moving in. But right now, it's a critical time because we know that we not only fight for Ukraine, we fight for this new world order for the democratic countries.
So there you have it, folks, right from the horse's mouth, right? Ukraine represents the New World Order. And she even went as far as to say Western democracies. I think a more correct way for her to have phrased that would be they've infiltrated Western democracies and are trying to install their technocratic, fascist, communist dictatorship in all countries under the name of COVID-19. But, you know, if you're even partially awake, a little bit awake, you can see that, right? I hope so. Keep in mind also that Russia has already banned the Rothschild family from stepping foot in Russia. And on top of that, he's called out George Soros on a number of occasions. Check it out.
There is such a person in the United States, Mr. Soros, who interferes in affairs all over the world. I often hear from my American friends that America as a state has nothing to do with his activities. There are rumors circulating now that Mr. Soros is planning to make the euro highly volatile. Experts are already discussing this. Ask the State Department why he is doing this. The State Department will say that it has nothing to do with these activities. Rather, it is Mr. Soros' private affair.
Now, I'll admit it's a little disconcerting that Klaus Schwab says that Vladimir Putin is one of his young leaders.
And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm.
But that being said, what did Putin say when he was attending the World Economic Forum group? Basically, he told Klaus Schwab to go pound sand.
At this moment in history, where the world has a unique and short window of opportunity to move from an age of confrontation to an age of cooperation, constructive and honest dialogue to address our common challenges is better than isolation and polarization. Yesterday, your phone exchange with President Biden and the agreement to extend the New START nuclear arms treaty in principle I think is a very promising sign in this direction.
Globalization resulted in a substantial increase in the profits of the large multinational companies, primarily American and European ones. Who gets these revenues? Talking about companies. The answer is obvious. Those who represent 1% of the population. And what has happened with the other people? I would point out one more important aspect: modern technology, modern technological. First of all, digital giants have been playing an increasingly significant role in the life of the society by encroaching on or restricting the natural right of people to decide for themselves how to live and what to choose and what view to express freely. On the other hand, we have seen all of this just recently in the United States. And everybody understands quite well what I'm talking about. And I'm sure that the majority of people share this view, including those who are participating today at this meeting. The world cannot follow the path of building an economy that works for 1 million people or even for the golden billion. It is clear that an era associated with attempts to build a centralized, unipolar world order is over. It hasn't been started even. There were attempts to do this, just then, but it's over. Such a monopoly was inherently contrary to the cultural and historical diversity of our civilization.
Oh, so there you have it. What is going on in Ukraine? Judging by the evidence that I'm seeing, I'm fairly confident in saying that my assessment is that it is true that it is the New World Order that's being taken out by Vladimir Putin. So, you know, who are you rooting for here? And I'll tell you what, if Putin wants to come and invade Canada, because we got a New World Order problem here, just as bad as that, probably worse than anywhere else. He's more than welcome. He'll be greeted with open arms by the awake Canadians. So peace out, and you know, we're winning this. Don't watch the fake news.
Question commentaire, questions and comments. The honourable member for Oshawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I listened to my colleague's speech. I had a constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WEF, World Economic Forum, has, quoted, infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. And I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honourable member for Timmins James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, that member is promoting open disinformation. That's not debate. We have to call out disinformation.
Be warned, this is not the kind of video you see on TikTok. I'm fourth generation from Kiev. My family's 100% Ukrainian. I got to tell you, folks, I support what Putin's doing. Ukraine is so evil. Ukrainian people are so corrupt, so evil, such liars, thieves. The fact that President Biden and his son have corrupt dealings with Ukraine and still get elected gives you a situation as to why he's invading. Biden and Hunter stand to lose billions if Putin takes over Ukraine. I'm sorry, folks. I'm Ukrainian, and I support this invasion 100%. He's not going to touch Eastern Europe. Everybody needs to chill out. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye. There's a whole lot under the table, and there's a massive mafia in Ukraine. How about the whole country?